listening to Sports Talk 916 with Greg Bull and Coach Greg Veroza.
If you'd like to participate in the show, there are a couple of ways to do it. If you want to contact us on Twitter, use the show's Twitter address, which is @SportsTalk916. For Greg B, go to @MrChief916. And for me, Coach Greg, it's @Greg Veroza. And Veroza is VAROZZA. And if you want to chat live with us, the best place to go is go to the Mixlr page and hit chat. There you'll see all of us chatting together as the show goes on.
What's up, everybody? It is Sports Talk 916, episode 11 of season 4. We are about to go live with a very special guest, Mr. Philip Oates, minority owner of the Sacramento Kings. Phil, can you hear us? Phil, can you hear us on there?
I sure can.
Good afternoon, or good evening, sir. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
So, Phil, it's been a little while since we spoke. I believe last time we had you on, the vote for the Entertainment and Sports Center was just approved. Your grandson was just born. So it's been a little while. How's life been treating you?
Oh, I'm blessed. I still love our team, even though all the ownership was disappointed in the last season. We entered it with a lot more expectations, but we moved our office downtown. I can now see the arena from my office window, and it's less than 10 minutes from my seat at work to my seat on the floor. So I'm living a charmed life.
Wow. Absolutely, yeah. That was actually going to be my next question. Was you just recently moved Buzz Oates' office downtown? You get to overlook the day-to-day masterpiece, just filling up the sky. You just got to take a tour recently. Give us a little bit of an insight of how things are coming along. I know we're a couple hundred days away now from the Open. Just how magical is that place? Walking through there and just knowing what's on the horizon.
And I know this is a company song, but it really is the truth. It's going to be an arena like no other arena. It is artistic inside the bowl area. One thing I didn't know was we will have the largest lower bowl being defined as below the suites in the NBA. We have more seats closer to the floor available to the fans than any team in the NBA. And so when I went in, probably 80% of the seats in the down lower bowl were put in, and some of the cabinetry in the suites and the lofts were in, and you can start seeing they're framing out where the food services are going to be, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it'll be great.
No, I would say every time I look at pictures of that place, I just kind of get the tingles. It just, or drive by it. It looks simply amazing. So obviously that's a big thing that's happening this off season. It's one of those rare off seasons where we actually have, there's promise. We always have promise, but there's tangible changes that you can see on the day to day that are making it more exciting for the upcoming season. There's not so much negativity swirling around the team, so that's always nice. And I believe, in my personal opinion, that the Kings and Vlade specifically made a fantastic hire for the new head coach of our Sacramento Kings in Coach Dave Yeager, coming over from Memphis. Have you, as one of the minority owners of the team, have you guys got a chance to meet with Coach or have any conversations with him to kind of get a vibe of his vision or where things may be headed as far as the franchise is going?
No, we haven't got a chance. Before I talk about Dave, let me just make a few comments about Coach Carl, who is my friend. And I think he just had a tough situation to go through. And I know he did what he thought was best during last season. I know he pointed out some of the good things in some of the articles that have been written that we forget did accomplish that last year. And I just want to personally wish Coach Carl great success or whatever he decides he wants to go do. He's only 90 days older than me, so we have a kinship of being old together. So that is it. No, we obviously read the paper. We knew the hiring of Dave was going to be pretty imminent, and we received an email about 15 minutes before it was officially announced. So I wasn't at the level that really interviewed him. I believe I believe when I read, I think a lot of it was left up to Vlade, and I know the entire ownership, all 38 of us have great confidence in Vlade, great trust in Vlade, and we're giving him the keys to the kingdom, and we know he's going to build a great program. And I think personally, I think we're a substantially better team than we were when the season ended just a few months ago by the two hires of Ken Canatella and Dave Yeager. We have more unity in our office. We have more focused direction on that we want to go. Vlade's the consummate team builder, and he's building a great team in that front office. I think we're better than we ended last season already without ever signing a free agent or making a draft pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I noticed too was, obviously there's been a lot of heat on Vlade from the fan perspective when it comes to some of the moves that were made, some of the way things were handled. When it came to, let's say, Coach Carl wanting to discipline DeMarcus, or the way that he didn't make any moves at the deadline. There's a lot of things that people were nitpicking about. But he made like you said, he made the right move bringing in an assistant GM. He was patient in the coaching search, which, by all accounts, the names that came up on the list of people he planned on interviewing, some of them were a bit of a head scratcher. But I think with him being a little bit more, he had his longer list in the end, while it may have looked kind of silly, ultimately was the best thing that could have happened. Because if he would have had one or two people on that list and Yeager wasn't released by the Grizzlies, then he may have already made a hire and we wouldn't be able to have a conversation about the promise that we have with the coach. So a lot of people that were criticizing Vlade, I think, have kind of changed their tone a little bit. And I think they're starting to see that, obviously he has a great basketball mind. He's done a lot of things for his home country. He's a very intelligent man. And now he has the pieces to use his brain and bounce ideas off someone that's been in the front office for the long time with the Pistons. And I think that, the sky's going to be the limit as far as, what Vlade's going to be able to do, especially with the new cap space and things like that are coming this offseason. And the fact that he has his coach. He's not working with someone else's coach in the front office.
Let me make two comments. Number one would be, I didn't mind the long list. We've made quick hires in the past, and I don't think they've always worked out the greatest. So there were probably 4 or 5 names on that list. I mean, I could have lived with Vinny Del Negro. I could have lived with Nate McMillan. I could have lived with Mike Woodson, just to name a few. So I think he was bringing in a variety of people, and also to see who he could work with. Because, Greg, one thing we've never had in the 3 years that we've been the owners of the Kings is a really tight bond between leadership, and now we've got it, and it's essential to becoming a first caliber team. I mean, you look at San Antonio, how Buford and Coach get along together, and that's what it takes to be a quality team, and we've now got that. So I think you're right on all counts. Now let me ask you something. You know what happened 3 years ago today?
I do. It was the relocation vote was.
Was it today?
It was today. Was it not that the NBA?
It was 3 years ago today.
Wow.
I was in Dallas. And I wasn't down when the NBA took the vote. Mark Friedman and Vivek and the mayor were all down there. But well, it seems like a long time ago, doesn't it?
Yeah,
not just 3 years.
Look how far we've come. Look how far we've come, and it just seems like yesterday.
Yeah,
it seems like a long time ago, but then again, it seems like it was yesterday too.
Yeah, I get what you mean on that. It was such a great time because it was that evening. There actually was a electrical storm in Dallas, and so we were all on the airplane in the tarmac coming home, and the mayor and his wife said, now we're going to go get a hotel room and fly out in the morning. But Nagel and myself and I think Canal was there, and John Reinhardt, there was a whole group of us. And I remember we sat on the airplane in the Dallas tarmac for probably 2 hours waiting for the storm to pass, and it was a pretty special evening. We toasted each other, and we knew that the Sacramento Kings were going to stay the Sacramento Kings.
So that was probably a 2-hour party on the tarmac?
It went quick. You know how we talked about it? It seemed like it went quick. Yeah, it was fun. It was just, what it was? You kind of breathed. You were able to breathe for the first time because as I look back on that time, the mayor gave such great leadership, and he's such an inspirational guy that you never really thought about the potential of not succeeding, but you still didn't know how it was going to swing. And it was only after that vote we were in. We were going to keep him.
Well, I think that as every fan and as a season ticket holder, that's how I felt too. It was, well, they're not going to leave. They're just not going to leave. But there was always in the back of your head, there was that. And I think that your reaction is the same that I think 99.9% of the Kings fans had too. Of, woo, it's done. We're here. Now what do we do?
Well, and fun fact, I'm sure you're familiar with the name Mike Barnbaum. He's been at everything that involves the Kings. Mike's one of our most loyal listeners. He's in our chat box right now, and he just said that this coming Friday is actually the 2-year anniversary of the 7-2 arena approval vote. So everything is anniversaries are coming up quick. So
that's right.
It's a very special week here for us.
Funny thing happened that night. I was actually playing in a golf tournament called Golf and Guitars, and I had to leave the golf tournament early to go down to city council. We ended up winning the tournament, and I think they won because I left early, and they were a pretty bad golfer, and the other guys were able to use my shots. And but that was 2 years ago. Golf and Guitars, and Golf and Guitars is this Tuesday. So yes, it all goes quick. It's all part of a story. Isn't it a great story, though?
It should be an ESPN 30 for 30. Oh, no, never mind. It is.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you guys. Do you think you'll ever get to see that? I've seen it 3 times.
We were
saw it
lucky enough to see it.
Didn't we talk to Phil that night?
we talked to you that night. Greg,
locally.
Greg was one of the lucky season ticket members who won the lottery to get a seat at the premiere downtown. And he was nice enough to bring me along, so we got a chance to see it with everyone there on the purple carpet. And to this day, it still bothers me that Kings fans won't get to see that video, because amidst of all this, all the controversy and all the stuff that happened with KJ and that was brought up that kind of derailed it. And while it was focused around KJ, it wasn't a story about KJ. It was about this city and the fans, and it's a disaster that ESPN decided to pull that film.
I think at some point, and maybe after the mayoral election and who takes over KJ's job, and maybe things calm down a little bit, maybe they'll bring it back out. That's my hope anyway.
Yeah, maybe they'll bring it because the November election. Maybe after that, they'll feel free. It'll be the start of a new season, still start of our new arena. I think I hope people get to see it.
Yeah,
it really was.
It was a fantastic job. They did a great job.
Yes, it was.
Phil, one of our other listeners, Keith Jogonatis, wants to know what player this upcoming season that's currently on the roster are you most looking forward to watching grow, or most looking forward to being on the court?
Okay, who am I looking at? Well, I mean, there's an obvious choice. Trill. I mean, I think we're investing a lot in him by sending him to the lottery this Tuesday. And I just got a sense that Coach Dave Yeager is going to use him differently than he was used before, and put him in a more prominent role of defense and protecting the hoop. And I think the sky's the limit. I've watched a lot of redrafts, and a lot of people think we made the right choice. That was a perfect player for us. Okay, I'm going to give you one that you're not going to expect me to say. I want to see what DeMarcus plays like when he's got a coach and a general manager on the same page.
This will be the first time he's had that, really.
That's exactly right. And so I am a DeMarcus fan. I think we should keep him. I don't think you trade away superstars. You look in the history of the NBA, whether it be Barkley or Alcindor, trading away a superstar usually does not make the team better. I understand people that don't agree with me. I think they've got some valid points, but I just think DeMarcus is going to come in this year with a clear head. It's kind of like we're all getting a mulligan, or a do-over. And I'm hoping that DeMarcus comes and the fans let him have his mulligan and his do-over, and I hope he accepts that and even ups his game to being one of the elite in the NBA.
Well, I think I think the fans here are begging. I mean, are dying for that to happen, and I think, for me, the best thing about that hire of Yeager as a head coach is he has experience working with big men in a successful offense, and I think it's going to be good to see.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I pointed out to a lot of people. They're like, "Oh, why are we hiring such a young coach? This or that." And I pointed it out to a lot of people. I said, "Go back 3 years when he took over Memphis. They essentially have the same. They essentially have the same 3 pieces that we have currently in Sacramento. They had Mike Conley, Zach Randolph, and Paul Gasol. And you can either flip flop Gasol and Randolph with DeMarcus and Willie Cauley-Stein, whether you want to, whoever you want to attach to him. And with Conley, we have a player like that in Darren Collison, who is very good with the ball, whether he's our backup or ends up being our starter, whatever happens with Rondo or Curry or the draft. Those three pieces are very similar to what he had to build around in Memphis, and it was a winning record. He made the playoffs all 3 years, and barring injury this year, I think they had a team that could have contended, to go deep into the Western Conference Final or playoffs. So there's a lot of promise on the horizon. You mentioned Willie's going to be representing the Kings at the Lotto Tuesday night. Hopefully, the balls finally. Let's hope the balls finally bounce in our direction. I mean, I think we
get the second pick.
Yeah, let's not let it bounce to 1 because we all know what is on the horizon if 1 happens.
I agree.
But let's get 2 or 3. Let's let Philly have their piece with number 1. We actually have our buddies in Philly listening right now, Corner Pub Sports. They're some great guys out there in Philadelphia, and so we're rooting for them to get the number 1 pick. We'll take 2 or 3. We'll boost this team up, and I'm hoping Willie brings us some luck. I think we got lucky with Willie falling to us where he did last year. And, he's going to be a prominent piece for us, and hopefully that good luck will continue. And, Phil, if we can take one more thing from you before we let you go, what's the one thing you want to see out of the Sacramento Kings next year that you think will ultimately get that giant step forward toward what everyone else wants, and that's the postseason and a cohesive winning basketball team? What's the one piece you think that needs to happen or you want to see happen for your Sacramento Kings?
Okay. One thing I disagree, I thought Carl and the coaches did a great job for a 33-win team of keeping us together. If you watch the bench, even into the last games, they were all up and yelling. I went to the Denver game, and, their bench never got up. And I was sitting perpendicular to our bench, and our guys were up all the time. So I think we have a team that really is bonded as a team and pulls for each other. So if we didn't have that, that would be my first pick. I want to see a team that really plays hard for 48 minutes and doesn't have so many of those 2, 3, 4 minute stretches of time where we seem to kind of lose our step. I watched the game today, and I watched how hard Toronto played. I want to play hard like that for 48. And I think that's what I'm hoping. And that's what Jaeger's going to bring. I fully expect that.
Absolutely. We need a bench of Caspies and Aces when it comes to the intensity and the motor that those guys play with. So, Phil, I want to thank you again for your time. I know it's late on a Sunday evening. I really appreciate it. You're always so generous with us, and it's my gratitude extends beyond words.
My pleasure.
I cannot wait to see you sitting courtside in your seats when that new building opens up. You amongst everyone else that stepped forward and helped save our team deserve it more than anyone else. With our fans.
It's almost 4 months from now, which seems we were talking 36 months just the other day, and now it's only 4 months from now. And this fall, it's not a time to take a vacation unless you're going to stay local. I think this is going to be a September through November that you're going to want to stay in Sacramento because with the new events we've got coming down and the new team, this is just going to be a magical time to live in Sacramento.
I think it's just the start of something that's going to be a long-term stay in Sacramento type thing. I see big changes on the horizon for Sacramento, and I want to thank you as a season ticket holder for the last 12 years for stepping up and doing everything that you've done and helping to keep the team intact or in town, and just being a voice of the fans. And I really appreciate everything that you've done.
It's been a pleasure. It has been an honor, and I look back and it's one of the highlights of my life. So I enjoy that. So thank you very much, both of you guys.
Yeah, let me say one more thing to our listeners. I actually listened to this again today because it gets me fired up. If anyone here recognizes, obviously, the name Phil Oates, if you want to hear one of the most passionate speeches in Sacramento history, go back and listen to Phil addressing the fans and city council when it was time for everyone to step up to save the team before KJ got the approval to go and present to the Board of Governors. When they announced the minority owners, it is one of the most passionate speeches you'll see, and it will give you goosebumps. And that's something that will always resonate in my head from that is that speech. So,
thanks, you guys. Hey, can I throw one other thing at you real quick?
Absolutely.
Sure.
That grandson that wasn't born then is actually entering his terrible threes. So time keeps moving on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It goes very quickly. So, Phil, enjoy the rest of your evening and your summer leading up to the biggest opening in Sacramento history, the Golden One Center. And thanks again for your time tonight. And I can't wait to talk to you again soon.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Phil.
Bye.
All right, everybody. That was Philip Oates, minority owner of the Sacramento Kings, one of the many 38 owners of the Sacramento Kings. Is there any way to listen to him and not just get fired up and just get goosebumps?
No, he's incredible.
He's amazing.
One of the things I want to ask him, and we just never really got off the what's coming up for the season, is at some point next time we get him on, I want to ask him what's his day-to-day routine as a Kings owner, and what actually, as a minority owner, are his functions? Is he just a super fan with a little bit of extra knowledge, or does he actually have responsibilities and things like that? Well, I think it'd be kind of cool to find that out.
One of my planned questions was I wanted to ask him if the minority owners had any part of the process when it came to what type of coach, what type of GM, hire,
Right.
the day-to-days. But when he mentioned that he hasn't even spoke to Coach Yeager yet, I ultimately assume that doesn't, that's not part of the process. So I
don't think it would, because it sounds to me, and just by what I've read and what I've heard and what I haven't heard, is I think the ownership's finally gotten it, and they're letting basketball decisions be made by basketball people. Have you heard Vivek's name in the last 3 months? Having really
not in other than a negative way,
but not really involved in the coaching search.
No, but did you see the story that Bill Herenda put on ESPN or on KFBK 1530?
No.
That Vivek has been calling the NBA front offices angrily, telling them that they're doing their job wrong. He's made numerous calls to the point where the NBA is not even calling him back anymore. I wanted to get Herenda on to try to talk about that, but I was more focused on getting Phil on and wanting to make sure that was our center point for the show tonight as far as our interview goes.
So you know what Vex sounds like? He sounds like some of the psycho swim mommies that I've had on my swim teams in the past, where, why is my kid not on the relay? What's going on? How come you're not choosing the relays right? They have to swim more. They have to swim harder. They have to work harder, be at more practices. It's like at some point you just go,
hand in the whistle. There you go.
Just go away.
You're the coach.
Just go away. If you don't like the program, leave.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So if you don't like the NBA, Vivek, leave.
What's funny is I can't remember what show it was. TJ or Keith may know, because I think they both talked about it online. One of the panel shows on ESPN, they had a thing on there that said, it was like last week. It was, did the NBA make the right decision in not moving the Kings to Seattle?
Ooh, I didn't see that.
And while obviously the right decision was to keep the team here, and giving Seattle a team would be another ultimately positive decision, with the story that Herenda came out with, it was the same day as that panel. And my question for him would have been, do you think that the NBA is, in a sense, regretting the fact that while, yes, the team is still here, which is ultimately what David Stern wanted, how are they feeling about Vivek as the majority owner of the team? Because he seems like he's a little bit of a thorn in the side to the NBA.
You think?
So that was kind of my spin off to that, was obviously they didn't make the wrong decision in keeping the team here, but did they maybe make the wrong decision in who they, really streamlined to be the front runner for the team?
Yeah, but take a look at the big picture. Who is the biggest thorn in the NBA side?
Go for it.
Mark Cuban. So Vivek might be a thorn in their side, but he's like a little mosquito that just won't go away. Cuban is the guy who's always in their face, always embarrassing them, making them look bad. Vivek is just a mosquito.
You mean potential presidential candidate Mark Cuban?
Oh yeah, I'd vote for him.
I would vote for Cuban.
You know
in a
what?
Heartbeat.
Here's the ideal ticket.
Thanks, Corner Pub. Appreciate it.
Here's the ideal ticket, just to fuck everybody up. Trump president, Mark Cuban vice president. Right there. There it is. Bam. Mic drop.
Dude, yeah, when I saw that I was like, man. Quarter Pub, you don't think that the biggest thorn is the Sixers? No, Hinky's gone, dude. You guys are good now. You guys, the 76ers are going to be perfect coming up in a couple years. I want to give a big thanks to everyone that listened in. I see George Spatz is on here. First time I've seen George on in a long time. Obviously Keith, Ron's on. I'm assuming it's Ron or Sean from Corner Pub is on late. It's 11:30 at night over there. And then our regulars, my wife, Keith, TJ, Mike, obviously. Thanks, guys. I really do appreciate it. We appreciate you guys every week. So let's talk about the Kings for a second, though, before we move on. And it's Ron. So, hey, Ron.
Hey, Ron.
What do you think? I mean, we missed our show last week, which was right after the Jaeger hire. How do you feel about the hire? How do you feel about the situation with DeMarcus and with our free agents that opted out to explore free agency? How do they maybe fit back into it with a prominent coach hire? What is your take? I mean, I've been extremely vocal on it throughout, throughout social media and whatnot, but I really haven't heard your take on how you feel about it.
Well, at first it was a little of a bit of a head scratcher because I know I'd never really paid attention to him. I know that the Grizzlies have been doing good, but he was just kind of he's not one of those coaches that you stand up and pay attention to. So, like I said, at the first it was kind of a head scratcher, and then the timing of the whole thing was a little bit funny. But as I've done a little bit more reading on him and listened to a lot more stuff about him, I think he was absolutely the best hire they could have made. Absolutely. He's got, we were talking when Phil was on, he's got experience working with a big man dominated offense. He's younger, so there's going to be no excuses for the players to say he's an old man trying to coach young guys. He's reasonably close to their ages. You turn your mic back on when it crunches, you can still hear it.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
Oh, I can.
Oh, well, I don't know. You gotta remember
anyway, I just think that no, I'm just kidding. We can't.
It fits what I was talking about too. If you remember the last couple of weeks, I've been saying go out and get a young coach.
Yeah.
Get me a Shaka Smart. Get me, whatever. But that was before there was any regulation that he may be let go as a Grizzlies coach. He's the perfect young coach. He, like you said, he relates. He's a winner. He's won in multiple levels of basketball.
And he wanted to be here.
Yeah.
The whole reason he got fired from Memphis was because he asked permission to talk to Sacramento. And I know George Karl wanted to be here, but as much as I like George Karl, as much as I still think he's a fantastic coach, I think Karl was here for the wrong reasons. And I think Karl was here to move up the ranks on the coach's win list.
Right.
And I don't think he was here to build a long-term team, because I don't think he was going to be here for the long term. I think he was going to be 2 or 3 years and out. And, I think he thought his health was going to be better, and I think his health didn't get better like he wanted it to.
What's amazing is go back and look at the interview he did with KCRA3 with Michelle Dauber.
Mm-hmm.
He looks amazing. He looks healthy. He's talking normal.
Yeah.
The raspiness of his voice is gone. He looks good. I just think it wore on him too much.
Well, yeah, you take that pressure of that an NBA coach has to be under. Add all the silliness that DeMarcus added to it.
Add Vivek and his meddling.
And Vivek. And, it's like I said, I have no idea what he goes through, but I've been in situations where everybody's meddling in on your job. Everybody's criticizing you from all different directions. It's a constant stress, and it wears on you. And I just think that by the end of the season, my guess is if the season would have lasted a month or two longer, I don't know if Karl would have made it. Seriously, I don't think he would have made it.
Health-wise, I don't think
health-wise.
he would have made it.
No, yeah, right, health-wise.
How do you feel about Vlade coming out and telling the media straight up again that DeMarcus is not going to be traded this year? It wasn't that he's not available. It's not that we're looking at it. He straight up said, we're not trading DeMarcus. Do you think it kind of falls under what Phil said, giving him a mulligan, giving him one final shot? Because everything I've heard is that the team, coaches, personnel, front office, people are starting to get tired of DeMarcus Cousins and his antics. But we've even talked about it. If he doesn't want to be here, if he doesn't shape up, get rid of him. But how do you not kind of waver to the side of things are finally looking like a real organization here? Do we give them another chance? Like Phil said, it's the first time, and you agree with them, or actually you said it, Phil agreed with you. It's the first time that the coach, the GM, and the personnel is together. They're on the same page. Why not give DeMarcus that chance to not have the trade rumors looming over his head, not have that, that disgust of what's going on? Let's see what he does in the right situation, because he did well in Kentucky. That's the last time he had a cohesive organization that knew what the hell they were doing, and albeit it's college, but no one's going to say Kentucky doesn't know what the hell's going on. They know how to set people up for success, and this is the first time in DeMarcus' career that, and obviously if it's done right, has the potential to set this team up for success.
Well, I think he's gotten a number of chances, and he's blown it. But I think other than Malone, there hasn't been a coach on board that he's respected.
But even with Malone, though, did the front office have...
Oh, there was no front office.
That's when Pete D'Alessandro was here. That's when Vivek still had his fingers in everything. Even with the best team around...
Oh, God.
Hi, this is Mike Barnbaum.
I would get rid of Cousins. This team needs to be built around Seth Curry and Darren Collison. Do you agree? What is your take?
No.
And then he gave out the 1140 numbers. What the... Mike, no.
Come on. Have you been... How many fireball shots have you had tonight, Mike?
Half. That's all he needs. No, but like I was saying, though, I'm still on the side of things that if DeMarcus doesn't shape up, you got to move him by the trade deadline. If we're not winning by the trade deadline, you kind of got to move him along.
I think I'm forgiving him a short leash. Look, DeMarcus, you have until the trading deadline.
George says DeMarcus is out of excuses, and I agree with that.
He is, absolutely.
There's nothing now in place, unless Vlade goes out and completely shits the bed on the draft and the free agency. There is nothing right now on paper that does not look at DeMarcus and say, this is now on you.
Absolutely.
You can't blame the front office. You can't blame the owner. You can't blame the leaky roof at Sleep Train or the shitty locker rooms. You can't blame anyone. It is DeMarcus or nothing.
Absolutely.
And I agree with George 100% on that. It's put up or shut up time. It's either win and prove that you're the franchise player or pack up your bags and go.
And I think the organization needs to grow a pair of balls and tell them that. I don't think they've had the cojones to sit down and say, look, this is it, buddy. You got one shot. And I've said this from day one, is Sacramento is begging DeMarcus to come around and act mature and do a good job. If he did that, he would be king of Sacramento. No pun intended. Go ahead and find it. I actually thought that was pretty good.
Hi, this is Greg Verosa.
Yeah. But Mike Crotch is popular with the animals. God, I missed this. I miss this. He's had his chances. Can you imagine? It would take 3 games of him just...
I'm not going to interrupt you again, but God damn it, Mike, stop.
You should... I can't see the...
For Cousins, it's win or go home. Back to sweet home Alabama as far as I'm concerned.
Hi.
Mike, are you sure you're not drunk?
Mike says no, he hasn't had any shots, but Ron has been taking shots all night. He's a bartender, so that's expected. But
anyway, so this town is begging for DeMarcus to come around. If he put up a quarter of a season with no technicals, getting back on defense, playing the way he's supposed to, he would. There's nothing he couldn't do to tick this fan base off.
Right.
Nothing he could do to piss this team.
Right.
And
the thing too is I want to kind of give the team credit right now. DeMarcus, Ben, Willie, those guys, normal in years past, the season ended, and hey Ron, thanks for listening tonight, buddy. I really do appreciate it. The season would end, And there would be airport shuttles outside the arena, the final home game, and those guys were on a plane somewhere beachy. They were gone. DeMarcus has been in town, other than going to Florida for his brother's graduation.
Yeah, and going to a bar and getting in a fight.
He didn't get in a fight.
I know.
His brother, and I will defend DeMarcus on that one. He got out of there. He was supposed to.
He went to the Beyonce concert in San Diego the other day.
Thanks, George. Yeah, he did. So he was standing in line with all the regular people. But DeMarcus has been here doing his community thing, working out. Willie Cauley-Stein's been posting videos on Instagram and on Twitter of him in the gym, in the practice facility, every single day working. Ben's been in town working. Seth Curry opted out of his deal, and one of my friends had a Court of Dreams the other night at the arena, like one of the last times they get to play on the court, and ran into Seth Curry walking the hallways at Arco or at Sleep Train. He was in there practicing. These guys are staying in town working on their game. Collison's still in town. So there's a lot of promise right now that maybe even the players are finally starting to see that there's some hope on the horizon, because they're working early. They're not shooting out and just getting out of shape. And
the more I think about it, can you imagine? Because they know what's going on. They know what's going on better than we do. Can you imagine showing up to work every day with that clusterfuck of a management team and going, why should I kill myself? Why should I do anything? They don't have their shit together. The more I think about it, I don't know that I blame them for what's gone on in the last couple of years.
No, not at all.
And I think they're seeing that Vladdy's doing his due diligence. I think probably that list of everybody, including Santa Claus and Vince Lombardi, that he interviewed for head coaching jobs, was as much for the players as it was for the fans and the media, because it shows, look, I'm not going to leave one stone unturned.
Other than fucking Henry Bibby on that list, I don't know what the fuck that was. And here's the thing, though, too. You got to give Vladdy, like I said in the interview, you got to give him credit, because had he just bum rushed it and hired the first guy, Jaeger would have went somewhere else.
Yep.
And we would have been like, fuck, it would have been another what-if situation.
That brings up a good point. Maybe he knew all along that Jaeger was going to be there.
Yeah.
And he just was interviewing people, one, to see what was out there, and I think that's good. But maybe he was just stalling for time until Jaeger got let go by the Grizzlies. Maybe he knew that. I don't,
Maybe he knew Jaeger would be available. Maybe he knew something about the Scott Skiles resignation. Like, there's other names out there that could have happened.
That the Jaeger thing just didn't happen overnight.
TJ said maybe Santa Claus will get a spot as the assistant. But I guess Jaeger was under hot water last year too, because he asked to interview for permission to interview elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with it. I'm looking forward to it. This is the first time that we've spent 40 minutes talking Kings, and it's been positive. It's actually
I'm not leaving here pissed off and ready to kill somebody.
Well, not yet. I mean, we still have a lot of show to go.
Well, no, but talking about the Kings, we talked this much about the Kings. My head's ready to explode.
Let's see. Mike says Curry was also in a photo on Twitter Saturday night. He was at the Republics game. So he was down there. And then speaking of Seattle, did you see back on May 2nd, the 5-4 no vote to the building of a new arena? Yeah, so Seattle, I think, missed their window. It's going to be a tough one for them to get another team up there. And I think Chris Hansen really burned that bridge. He really fucked himself over by up in the increase when he wasn't supposed to, when the NBA told him not to. Like, he did a lot of stuff to kind of burn that NBA back to Seattle bridge. TJ says they need an NHL team. I think the Kings Sacramento needs an NHL team.
Right, too. I want to see an indoor football team.
Did you see
arena football? Did
you see the tweet that I put out? I don't know if I didn't tweet it out. I saved it. I need to send it to you. Some dude on Twitter posted a picture of Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook when they were drafted by the Sonics, wearing a Sonics jersey and gear. And the tweet said, "Man, them Sonics dumb as fuck trading Westbrook and Durant to the Thunder." And I was like, I hope that dude is fucking joking, because that is the funniest shit I've ever seen.
That is funny.
Hella funny. Let's hear from Crandall's real quick, and we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs.
Hey, man, what's up with the studio? It looks so much cleaner than the last time. I know I haven't been here in a week or so, but what the hell happened?
I just got tired of cleaning it myself, so I finally gave Crandall's Cleaning Service a call. They came out. Looks like this.
Damn, they did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, they're amazing. Fully licensed staff came out, gave me a quick estimate, knocked it out in a couple hours, and they're going to come back on a monthly service.
What, are they going to do the rest of the house, or do that couple hours just cover the office?
A couple hours cover the office. That's all I had them quote for. But they do whole houses. They do offices. They do home stagings. They do everything.
Cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you want your house clean, give them a call, 916-952-3620. Ask for Nick. Let them know that Sports Talk 916 sent you. Like I said, they'll come out. They'll give you a special quote. They'll do monthly, bi-weekly, weekly, whatever it is you need for all your cleaning needs. They're fully licensed and insured. They'll take care of you the right way.
Sweet. I'm calling tomorrow.
Awesome. Remember, that's Crandall's Cleaning Service, 916-952-3620. All right, we're back. Let's talk NBA playoffs. So today was Game 7. It was another between the Heat and the Raptors. And it was another back-and-forth game. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it.
I didn't see any of it.
I watched the second and third quarters, and it was like a grind-em-out game. Like every game that series has been. It's just been back and forth, back and forth. And then something just clicked with Toronto. In the third quarter, they came out, opened up a 17-point lead, opened up an 18-point lead, and it just kept going and going and going. And Toronto, for the first time in franchise history, advances now to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're going to take on the well-rested Cleveland Cavaliers.
Rested or rusted?
Yeah, exactly. Starts with an R. We'll figure out which one it is. Cavaliers are yet to lose a game this playoffs. They've swept both series. You going to ride Cinderella's coattails on this one at all? Do you think Toronto has a chance to knock off Cleveland?
No.
Series opens Tuesday night.
No, I don't think so. I think Cleveland's done some changing, and they've completely revamped the way they play, and I think they're going to walk right through Toronto. Maybe 5 games. And I think what they're getting ready for is the NBA Finals, and I think it's going to be.
I noticed you did something there. You didn't say getting ready for the Warriors. Are you having a little bit of a change of heart?
Not at all.
No?
Not at all. No, not one bit.
Because like Cleveland, who changed the way they're playing and they're playing at all-time high, I think the same goes for the Thunder.
Yeah, but the Thunder were doing that. They seemed to do that right before they played the Warriors every time this year. They started playing a lot better, started coming together, and then the Warriors would come down and just blow them out and set them back 2 weeks. So I just don't see... I see that game. I see that series going maybe 5 or 6 at the most, and I think it's going to set up for an amazing Cleveland Warriors.
Barmom cracks me up, man. Toronto has no chance to knock out Cleveland. It will be Cleveland in 5 and no more than 6. You read it here first.
No,
you
heard it.
Just said it. You literally just said Cleveland in 5. Oh man.
And there's a delay too.
Yeah, so, the 10-second delay. So, yeah, I think that Oklahoma City is probably going to give the best run for the money that Golden State's seen this playoffs. But in the end, I think Golden State is just too deep.
I do too.
And for anyone that came out, oh, and by the way, Keith, you're listening. All of our predictions sucked ass. We're all bad.
Except for the Warriors.
Well, except for the Warriors so far, but we are bad. Anyone that said Pop's system in San Antonio is broken, it's dead, it can't win anymore, blah, 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 you're dumb. Because honestly, what it came down to, as far as I'm concerned, is youth beat out the old guys. San Antonio just got tired.
Yeah.
They just could not keep up with the youth of Oklahoma City. And it wasn't that Oklahoma City had a better game plan or San Antonio didn't perform as well as they normally do. They just got outran.
So do you think that Pop's strategy of resting people hurt them in the long run as opposed to helping them? Because they weren't in quite good enough shape to be able to go that many extended minutes?
No, because you got to think of the way I look at that is it's an 82-game season. If you're resting someone 4 games, really, what's the? I mean,
Yeah, but they weren't playing.
Games.
I mean, Duncan was only playing by the end of the season. He was only playing 12 to 15 minutes a game.
Yeah, but Duncan's like 84 years old, so it's kind of expected that he would slow down. They needed the other guys to step up. Other than LaMarcus Aldridge, everyone else kind of disappeared in the playoffs.
I think it was just a matter of they all got cold at the wrong time.
Yeah,
I think they all went into a slump at the wrong time because they were too good for 82 and the first round. They were too good, and I think when it came time to that second playoff, I just think that they had shot their wad, and I just don't think they had anything left, and I think they just went into a slump.
Yeah, I think it was bad timing of that. I think Golden State wins this series in 6, but honestly, I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked in the least to somehow see a Toronto and Oklahoma City final. And the reason why I say that is because Golden State, on numerous occasions this year, looked beyond some of their opponents. And Oklahoma City is not a team that you can look beyond.
I don't see that.
But if Oklahoma City stays playing as well as they are, I could see it coming down to a missed shot or here or there, or a lucky shot by Westbrook or something that propels them beyond. And Cleveland, I honestly think that with Cleveland, like you said, they're playing really well right now and they've revamped things. But I don't think that this long break that they've had is going to do them very well, because in years past, they kind of got flat when they had a long break.
Right.
And I just don't know that Tyronn Lue and that coaching staff, aside from LeBron and those guys, I don't know that they have the ability to stretch it out the way that they're going to do. And I honestly could see either team losing. The likelihood of both of them losing could do it, but I would not be shocked if it happened.
My thing is with the Warriors, it's going to take Oklahoma City winning 2 games in Oakland to win this series, because if they win one, it's going to piss Golden State off, and they're going to come back and they're going to beat Golden State's going to win a game in Oklahoma City. And so ultimately it's going to take OKC to come back to Oakland and win a second game. And I don't think anybody can win 2 games in Oakland. I just don't think it can happen. They're too strong at home. I just don't see it. I just don't see any way that Oklahoma City can win that series.
Let me ask you this, because I don't care if I jinx either one of these teams, but let's see if let's say a Curry injury or an Irving injury happens again. Prominent players. Do you think that either one of those teams this late in the year, in this massive of a series, will be able to ultimately overcome one of those star injuries, or even not Irving? Let's say LeBron or Curry get hurt. Can either one of those teams overcome that detriment of their star going down again in a playoff series that is essentially the best of each division playing against each other?
Well, I'm going to officially announce that I am now a Warrior bandwagon fan, so I'm not sure that, in my opinion, is going to be all that just for the playoffs. I think the Warriors can absorb, and they have absorbed, a Curry missing for a number of games a lot easier than Kyrie going down. If LeBron goes down, Cleveland is done. They're done. It'd be a 4-game sweep, and I think that Toronto would beat them in 4 or 5 games if LeBron goes down. Kyrie goes down, I think, makes it a 7-game Toronto series, and I think they have no shot against the Warriors. I think the Warriors are just way too deep. Klay Thompson can step up and be Curry for 3 or 4 games. He can do it. He's done it before. And then, Iguodala is gonna take over a game, and somebody else will take over a game throughout the, a 4th game, and they're going to spread it out a little bit. Hell, even Festus Ezeli.
Impromptu bingo or bullshit question. Bingo or bullshit, Jason Thompson will be the X factor for the Toronto Raptors beating the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Is that Mike Barnbaum?
That's me. That's my question.
Oh. maybe the 3 or 4 minutes that he plays, yeah, he might be the X factor, but that's about it.
Yeah, the 3 minutes he plays. All right, let's do this. Real quick question. Actually, no, I'm going to move this question. Well, real quick. Is Steph Curry deserving of the first ever unanimous MVP?
Yes.
All right, I agree with you. Let's hear from Warrior Pack, and we're going to play Bingo or Bullshit. Hey, guys, Greg here.
And Sheena, too.
We just wanted to take a minute of your time to tell you about this awesome local company who has helped us tremendously in the obstacle course racing world.
Seriously, we get banged up enough on these courses, and these products have saved us on many obstacles.
When Sheena and I were getting prepared for our first Spartan race last year, we found the original Warrior Pack and bought some of their gear. After a couple races, we loved their products so much, it was a no-brainer for us to join their race team.
Yeah, and we just completed another run at AT&T Park and finished blister-free thanks to their gloves. I wore the full-finger gloves and didn't even break a nail.
You are such a girl. Anyways, guys, go to originalwarriorpack.com and check out their stuff for all of your OCR needs. And don't forget to use code ST916 for 10% off all of your purchases. Again, that's www.originalwarriorpack.com. Pack is spelled P-A-K for all of your OCR needs. It is now time for bingo.
Bingo!
Was that a bingo?
Bingo! A bingo!
Bingo!
I've got a bingo!
Bingo! Bingo!
Bingo!
Or bullshit. Barn Bomb, before you tell us, I know we have 7 minutes to reset. We're going to knock out bingo or bullshit. We'll reset and come back. So let's go. Bingo or bullshit. Tim Lincecum will not be a member of the San Francisco Giants this season.
Bingo.
Bingo!
I don't know. I think we're talking about the Giants here in a few minutes, and I think right now you're starting to see a lot of promise in their pitching staff. Unless he's going to accept a role as a mid-game reliever, middle-inning reliever, he's not going to sign with the Giants.
Yeah, if loyalty means anything to him, I think that he would, if he takes a long reliever, like a Yusmeiro Petit did last year, basically as a sixth starter, should a guy go down or need a rest or they have a long series or a doubleheader or whatever the case may be, basically a long reliever with the option to be a starter, then I don't see him coming here. TJ says he'll probably go to San Diego or Seattle. I still think that his two teams start with an S, but I think it's still going to come down to Seattle or San Francisco. I don't think he wants to go anywhere else. His dad's come out on record. He's come out on record and says that he's a very, very routine-based person. He's comfortable with where he wants to be. He doesn't like new things. He was born and raised in Seattle, still has a house there. Obviously, he's familiar with San Francisco. I just don't see him going to a big city feel. I don't see him going somewhere that's going to have all eyes on him.
Yeah.
I think he wants to keep it local and keep it comfortable. So
Plus
I think it's
legal to smoke pot in San Francisco and in Seattle. So
well, he can do anything he wants in San Francisco.
I know. And you can in Seattle too, pretty much.
You're up.
Go ahead. I'll pass.
Bingo or bullshit. The Bay Area will have 2 parades in the coming months, with the Warriors repeating and the Sharks lifting Stanley's Cup.
Well, let me see here. 1 second before I answer that. Anybody know what the score of the Sharks game was tonight?
They were losing when the third period started. Sorry.
Final was 2-1. I think they're only going to have one. I think it's just going to be the Warriors.
Just the Warriors? I really want to see...
I do too. I mean, I'm one of those bandwagon hockey fans that, I'll watch a game here and there. I probably watched about parts of maybe about 10 or 12 Sharks games this year. It's just enough to know who's on the team. But there is nothing like, and I was trying to explain this the other day to somebody about the difference between playoff hockey and regular hockey.
It's amazing.
It's 2 different games. And so I'm all into the playoffs, and I'd love to see them go deep, and who knows, maybe they can. But
You said deep.
Muff. Hello? Dead air.
TJ says bullshit. I think the Pens will get shit done. I'm just pissed that my team never makes the goddamn playoffs anymore. I'm sure Keith is rooting for the Pens as well. Do you have one, or is this just all me?
No, I don't have one.
Okay. Bingo or bullshit? The punch that Jose Bautista took today at second base was better than any punch we witnessed during Pacquiao Mayweather.
That punch was square.
Dude, that was the best punch I've ever seen in my life.
Did you watch the UFC fights last night?
No.
I watched the UFC fights, and I don't know anybody. I don't know who fought who.
That dude Cyborg is a beast, though.
But the one guy who threw the one-punch knockout, where the guy was literally out on his feet, I think that was the same kind of punch.
Dude, so Jason, who's not listening tonight, normally he listens. He called me, and he sent me a video. Then he called me to talk about it. I was asleep, and when I woke up, the Giants game was on. And they showed it. I was like, damn.
Yeah, it was good.
Somehow he missed the ear flap and just caught all jaw. And they showed it in slow motion. Batista's face was just like just.
And I think he had glasses or something on that went flying. It was
the hell of a punch.
Shot.
It was amazing.
So, are we going to talk about that later on? Or?
Yeah, we're going to get to that. I would compare the punch that Batista took today with similar.
Hi, this is Mike Barnbaum.
Similar to the punch that Doug Christie gave to Rick Fox.
Now, Mike, come on. Okay, Mike.
A little close uppercut or a full-on haymaker.
Yeah, no, Mike, that was an uppercut, and this was a right cross. Completely different. Mike, learn your punches. Learn your punches.
It was amazing today.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, my God. Yeah, we'll talk about retaliation.
Can you say payback?
What's funny is it wasn't even payback. Payback was already done. Batista did the bat flip. He got clunked today. That's how he got on base. He got hit by a pitch where he was thrown at his head.
No, it was payback. Batista was paying back for getting plunked.
Right, so he made the dirty slide.
Right.
And then the dirty slide got paid back by the punch. So are they back to square one, or does Batista owe them one now?
I think he owes them a couple now for that punch.
Unbelievable, though.
I can't wait till they play each other again. It's going to be great to watch. Hopefully that's an ESPN game instead of the Yankees and somebody or the
I'm going to diver
Red
the
Sox.
shit out of that one, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, we're going to reset. We're going to come back, and we are going to talk. Greg's going to talk about the Invictus games. This is going to get loud, people. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
So let me ask you a question. Who do you think is the most successful football team currently in Sacramento? It's not the Hornets. It's not the Surge. It's not the Gold Miners. Not the Mountain Lions. Yes, it is your Sacramento Sirens. Starting up their year this April 23rd, they play all their games at Hughes Stadium. All kickoffs are at 5:30. For more information on tickets and tryouts, go to thesacramentosirens.com.
And don't forget, you'll hear the voices of Sports Talk 916 blasting through the PA system as we are the in-stadium announcers for this upcoming season. So once again, all information is at thesacramentosirens.com. That's right, and the next home game for the Sirens is next Saturday, 5:30 p.m. at Hughes Stadium, Sacramento City College. They take on another team. Can't remember who they play. We just got texted about it a little bit ago.
South Nevada, Southern Nevada, or something like that.
It was the North County Stars, apparently.
Okay, then.
She said Nevada Storm, and then she said she got ahead of herself, North County Stars.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be out there. You'll hear us. Hopefully we'll get to call a touchdown call, but let's talk about the Invictus games, Mr. Rosa.
So the Invictus games. I try to avoid any of the gossip of Kardashians and the royals and all the queen and princes and all that stuff because it just grinds on me. But Prince Harry came up with an idea a couple of years ago to have an Olympic-style event really supporting warriors that had been wounded in action and had been facing disabilities caused while they were fighting for their countries. And I didn't really know that much about it until a story broke a couple of days ago involving a swimmer, which, again, perked my interest. And you might have heard about it, but it basically was let's see. Hold on here. My phone's being
You should get a droid.
I know. Sergeant Elizabeth Marks.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Stop. Hold on. Later.
You reset. You didn't start it back up.
I forgot to reset. There we go. We're back. Sorry, Mixler. Woo. We're here. All right. Invictus Games. They did a story. Prince Harry did it. And yeah, we're back.
All right. So Prince Harry, real quick, for those of you that weren't with us, Prince Harry decided to come up with a game honoring soldiers that had been wounded in battle and have an Olympic style event for him. And so one of the events, prominent events, is swimming. And I actually saw this girl swim, and she's pretty good. And her name is Sergeant Elizabeth Marks. Marks is 25 now, joined the Army at age 17, and in 2010 she sustained a serious hip injury that left her with no feeling in her leg. In 2014, when she was in London for the first Invictus Games, she became sick with a lung condition. The swimmer from Arizona spent 10 days in an induced coma and went into respiratory distress syndrome. The team from Papworth in Cambridgeshire was sent down to her hospital in London to provide the care she needed. They absolutely saved my life, and I can't thank the UK enough. So she won a number of events this year, and I saw her swim, and she's a pretty good swimmer. I mean, technique-wise, not having a leg, or having a leg but basically no feeling in it, so it's just kind of dragging along. Pretty good swimmer.
So she has no feeling in the leg. So does it still function? Like if she flutters it?
I don't think so. I didn't see it.
So it's just basically just a floater?
Yep, it's a floater.
Oh, that sucks.
So after she won her first event, she was awarded the gold medal by Prince Harry himself. And as she got off of the stand, she took her medal off and she pulled Harry over to the side and basically said, I want you to give this to the people at the hospital that saved my life. Wow. If they hadn't have been there, if they hadn't done what they'd done, I wouldn't be here right now. And so I owe everything to them. And the best way I feel to honor them is to give this to them.
Wow.
And I've seen the clip about 5 or 6 times of her coming off the medal podium, and she stops him and he kind of looks and he shakes his head like, what? Really?
What the bloody hell are you doing?
Exactly.
Pip, pip.
And then he takes the medal and he goes to put it in his pocket and he looks at it again. He looks at her and she kind of nods her head and he puts it in his pocket. And it was just, with all the shit that goes on in sports nowadays and all of the doping and all of the cheating and all of the just crap that we have to deal with on a daily basis with sports, it's so nice to see what sports is all about be played out in front of us. And I just thought that was a magical story. I think that it shows you what sport can do and what kind of an impact it can make on people's lives. And now the impact it's going to make on a bunch of other people's lives when they go back and they give that group that gold medal.
Absolutely. And then you have someone locally that's a little bit of a swimming hero, for lack of a better term, but in the eyes of many, as far as admiration and determination and inspiration goes. So why don't we talk about her a little bit?
So, as most of you know, I'm a swim coach, and I coach for Del Norte Country Club.
What?
Yeah, shut up. It's like you working for Apple. No, we all know you work for Apple. About a year and a half ago, we have it's a big family over there, and all these kids go to school together and have known each other since they were all 4 or 5 years old. One of the girls on our team got diagnosed with bone cancer in her lower leg. Hit or miss. I mean, she obviously with cancer, there was a lot of scare that she was not going to make it. And I think after a few chemo treatments, she ended up, they made the decision to amputate her left leg at the knee. Within about 3 weeks, she was back at the pool. Watching kids swim, not for very long.
Oh, back at the pool. I thought you said back in the
No,
pool.
no,
I was
no,
like,
no,
holy
no,
crap,
no.
that's a fast healing leg.
No. Back in the pool, or back at the pool, watching a couple swim meets, hanging out with the kids for a short amount of time. Our team bonded together around her. We all had purple Team Alex bracelets on all year. Did a lot of fundraising. And she steadily got stronger and stronger and stronger. She's gotten a lot of attention. She had a horse given to her by the Sacramento Police Department. She was on Good Day Sacramento 4 or 5 times. The Kings have taken very good care of the family. They're just a great family. The goal for her was always to get back in the water and swim. And when we started up this season this year, she came back and said she wanted to get back in the water. And hopefully I can make it through this.
Do I need to play 30 for 30 music?
No, that won't work. So anyway, when we started April 1st, she was back she came in and said, I want to swim. We put her in a group that was below her age level. She's swimming with 9 and 10-year-olds, and she's 13. We had to kind of bring her along a little slowly, but she's made huge strides. And 2 weeks ago, she swam at our team time trials. And, and if you ask her, she isn't a great swimmer. She's a good swimmer, but she's not a great swimmer. She was within hundredths of her best times that she had swam 2 years ago with 2 legs.
Wow.
And she has continued. She comes to practice 3 or 4 days a week. Works as hard as she can. We're continually pushing her to do things that she wasn't ready to do. We got her diving off the side of the pool now. The next thing is we're going to get her to dive off the starting blocks. She swam in a swim meet last weekend for against another 2 teams. Swam 5 full events, including 2 relays, and held her own with best times. And she's just, I was talking to her dad the other day, and I said, to be honest, I didn't really remember her all that much. I knew who she was, but I didn't remember her all that much before all this happened. And he said, you're not the only one. And ultimately, to see somebody make something so good happen from such a tragedy it's inspiring. And it's hard for me to be inspired by a 13-year-old girl, but every day she shows up. She even ran into she had an abscess on her stump. 3 days before our meet, she went to the doctor, had it lanced. They stitched it all up and put bandages on it, and she was out there the next day swimming.
Wow.
So we had a good laugh the other day. I went up to her and I said, Alex, you really don't need both legs to swim fast. You're swimming faster now than you were. And she just laughed.
That's pretty cool.
But she's gonna have doors open to her, and things that happen to her now that never would have happened to her had she not gone through this. So, it could have been something remarkably terrible. Now it's turning into something that's inspiring a lot of other people. So, just makes me feel good to be involved in something just that inspiring.
That's pretty cool. I don't know how I can follow up with are you kidding me? But we're going to do that right now.
Are you kidding me?
You kidding me? You kidding me, right?
Are you kidding me?
You kidding me? You kidding me?
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
You kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
What's up, guys? All right. Are you kidding me? It's my turn. It's a story about a kid named Jarrett Edwards. Pitches for George Washington University, a high school out of a place.
Out of a place.
Lakewood, Ohio. So here, I'm just going to read it as it's written. While Max Scherzer's 20 strikeout game was a feat of pitching dominance, he not only didn't strike out every batter he faced, but he gave up 2 runs and 6 hits. Now, in that regard, high school senior Jarrett Edwards may have Scherzer beat. Pitching for Lakewood, Ohio's St. Edwards High School, Edwards pitched a perfect game against John Marshall in the Division I Strongsville Sectional Championship game. Even better, the right-hander struck out all 15 batters that he faced in a 10-0 win 11 of his strikeouts came via swing and misses.
Wait, you said that? Oh, 15.
Don't knock Edwards for only going 5 innings either. Blame his teammates for scoring too many runs. At the most high school leagues have a 10-run mercy rule that goes into effect after the 5th inning. As a pitcher told Cleveland.com, I usually don't smile on the mound, but when I got the last strikeout, I smiled. It was a pretty relieving moment. Given the school he pitches for, we assume that Edwards' nickname is now St. Edwards. Dumb. Edwards is committed to attending and playing for George Washington University next fall. While we don't want to put any more pressure on him, if he keeps pitching like this, he could become a Major League Baseball player from school since Mike O'Connor last appeared in the majors in 2011. So I thought this was kind of cool. I mean, high school pitcher, championship game, faces 15 batters, gets the perfect game, which is obviously hard as it is, but you strike out all 15 people? Talk about pressure on a 15-year-old kid to get that done in a game like that, you know what I mean? Or an 18-year-old kid, I'm sorry.
You know, when you're that dominant, is it really... I'd like to hear what his stats were for the entire season. If he was that dominant, or if this was just one of those days he woke up and had it.
He was like 0-18.
Yeah.
He was the last pitcher to pitch.
Yeah. 8.3 ERA. I would imagine that a kid like that plays a lot of travel baseball. High school is probably a step down for him from what he's used to playing, and it probably wasn't a whole lot of pressure on him. I think he was just getting out there and throwing and having fun and just overpowering guys.
Right. I just thought it was kind of a cool little story.
Yeah, no, it's a great story. I like that.
All right, let's do this.
What's up, everybody? We are Corner Pub Sports, every week talking sports, beer, and beyond. You can find us live 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on wildfireradio.com or stream us on cornerpubsports.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Corner Pub Sports.
We look forward to seeing you at the pub every Friday night.
Cheers, cheers, guys.
Hey, Sports Talk 916 listeners, listen up. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in the greater Sacramento area, then there's only one person that you should be calling. It's someone that you listen to every single week for sports advice, and it's time you listen to him for real estate advice as well. Give Greg Veroza of Keller Williams Realty a call, and he will hook you up with all the information you need. Give him a call at his office at 916-241-8068. I did it. My family did it. It was a great experience. Very seamless. Greg's very accommodating, and he'll find you the right home for you. So give him a call. You won't regret it. 916-241-8068. Greg Veroza of Keller Williams Realty, and tell him Sports Talk 916 sent you.
This is Andrew Susak of your Sacramento River Cats, and this is Sports Talk 916.
You know what's funny is I have a Susak of the Sacramento of the San Francisco Giants if he gets called up that we can play as well. But let's talk about those Giants. So we mentioned earlier about Lincecum, and you said you wanted, that the pitching was starting to come around.
Mm-hmm.
Kane got the win today. PV's looked good his last 2 starts.
Kane has looked pretty good his last 2 starts too.
Yeah, and a lot of the talk was those guys are going to be the reason why Lincecum gets a shot at the 5th starter. But it seems like they were paying attention to that. And bam, here we go. Now they're like, oh shit, we might lose our job.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, what do you think about that? I mean, do you think that was the kick in the ass they need? Do you think that the Giants, restocked the Icy Hot? Like, I mean, what is it about?
Well, I think Kane didn't pitch. I don't think Kane pitched nearly enough in spring training, and he was going through those injuries. He might not have been. Well, it's obvious he wasn't ready to come back and pitch at the beginning of the year, and I think now he's gotten enough innings under his belt. He's not the 2010 Kane. But he's definitely, if you can get 6 innings out of him, you call it a win. If you get 7 innings out of him, like you did today, that's amazing. And, And PV, who knows? I mean, it's hard to tell with him because he had a bunch of bad starts. Now he's had a couple good ones. How consistent is he going to be this year? And that's my question.
Right. Hold on real quick. breaking news that makes Sacramento shitty. It just came across the wire at KCRA about 5 minutes ago. Today was 102 Live, the concert at Discovery Park. And the reason why I'm only bringing this up is because Keith Joganon's mentioned it on Facebook, and
I just saw it too.
A few people that are in the Sacramento Kings Facebook groups are friends with this gentleman. Unfortunately, a man at the concert was assaulted, sucker punched, and passed away during the show. So condolences to Keith and your friends and anyone else that may know who this gentleman was. But unfortunately, things got a little out of
Did you hear
hand.
about there was an explosion down there too? Did you hear about that?
I did not hear about that one.
So apparently one of the food vendor tents caught on fire and ignited 2 propane tanks, and they exploded. Apparently the concert went on, but there were a bunch of people that were injured. Nobody had died. So I didn't know that there was a fight. I didn't see that part of it.
It's crazy. That's
stupid.
Anyways, back to baseball. Yeah, I mean, Kane and PV, and TJ just said they're basically pitching. They're basically pitching for their jobs. Bellingham Niner fan wants to know what the Giants' starting rotation's ERA is the last 7 games. I'd have to try to look it up. It's been good though. I mean, the last 7 games has been really, really nice.
You know, and I was listening to Marty Lure on the way over here today.
I love Marty.
I do too. And one thing that he said, and if you go back and look at it, it makes sense. If you're in a hitting slump, Pac Bell Park or AT&T Park is not the place to go to get out of a hitting slump. And look at what happened as soon as they left AT&T. Their bats came alive. And I think if you come into AT&T Park hitting well, you're going to continue to hit well. But it's not a place that you can get yourself out of a slump because it's just there's too many things about that park that don't lead to good hitting. And so I don't know. Do they go to San Diego next, right? Or did they come back home and play San Diego?
No, they're home for the Cubs. Oh no, I'm sorry. They're at San Diego.
So and they always play well in San Diego.
Yep.
And they always hit well. And Lincecum always pitches a no-hitter in San Diego.
Bring him back just for this.
I know. So I think it's going to be good for them. I think they're going to continue to hit well, and then they can come home. And I heard that pitching rotation for the Cubs for the series next week is going to be awesome.
Do they get Arrieta and Lester?
Yep, and their third starter. So they get their 1, 2, 3 starter, and we have Kane, Peavy, and Lincecum. Baumgartner.
Kane was today. No.
Yeah.
Hold on. Kane was today. So it goes.
Peavy, Kane, Lincecum. Baumgartner, damn it.
If Kane pitched today, that means Baumgartner's going
tomorrow.
Tuesday.
Yeah, they have a day off.
And then it's Cueto, Samardzija. Yeah, so it's going to be Peavy, Kane, Bum. God, that's terrible.
Well, that's the test. You know, that's going to be the test. Are they going to be able to throw against the Cubs and shut them down? The Cubs are like 29-8 or something incredible like that.
And how shitty is it for the Padres? So the Padres get Bum, Cueto, Samardzija this week, and then it goes Peavy, Kane, Bum for the Cubs, and then it's Cueto, Samardzija, and then Peavy again. So the Padres get Samardzija and Cueto twice in the next 2 weeks or week and a half. That sucks, man. So
which is good for the Giants.
Yeah, so Bellingham Niner fan said, man, Bum, the last 7 games, Bum is at a 1.35, Kane 2.25, Johnny Cueto 2.59, PV 3.27, and the Shark, Jeff Samardzija, is a 1.72. That's looking like the starting rotation you wanted.
That we all thought we had.
Yeah, and what's looking really good for the Giants is even with Buster Posey in a huge slump right now, even going to Arizona didn't help him.
A little bit. I mean,
Panic found his bat. Crawford found his bat. Pence hit his 200th home run in his career the other night. Did you see that, by the way? They were talking about it today. This Arizona fan, catches it. It bounces off the top of the wall, lands in his glove. He looks around and just throws it back onto the field. And Krug and Kite were making fun of the guy today. They're like, dude, you gave up a negotiation. That was his 200th ball. They're like, you could have got a jersey, a ball, a bat, a
car,
a house. He was going to give you anything for that. I was cracking up.
That was funny.
Thing. But, the Giants are starting to come around. And this Arizona Giants season series so far has been interesting. Giants open the season in Arizona. They win 3 of the games. Or, they open early in the year. win all the games. Come home, get a 4-game sweep against them. Go to Arizona, sweep a 4-game series. It's like nothing breaks on these guys. When they're on the road, it's like the road team dominates.
Yeah.
And it's funny, my oldest daughter, before we went to the Giants game a couple weeks ago, we were watching the game at home, and they were playing Arizona. It was the game where I think it was Peralta got hit in the arm the first time. And then we're watching the game, and she's like, Dad, does that happen a lot? And I'm like, yeah, it happens from time to time. And then we're driving to the River Cats game the next night, and we're listening to the game on the radio, and bam, he gets hit again by the same pitcher. And I'm like, Nat, remember when we talked about it? And then we went to the game, and we're still playing Arizona. And then they played them again this week, and we're watching the game, and I flip the game on, and she's like, what the heck? She's like, they're playing the Diamondbacks again. The only time she watches games so far this year has been the Diamondbacks, and she's getting pissed off. She's like, I want to see them play other teams.
Just don't let her watch them when they're at AT&T.
Yeah, they won't win games.
Yeah.
But they're looking a lot better. How do you feel about? I mean, things are looking kind of grim. I know it's early in the year. There's a lot of games to play, but how do you feel about the way the Giants are shaping up? Do you think they need to look at the waiver wire? Do they need to look at making a trade somewhere?
I'm not going to say anything until they hit at least halfway. It's going to take that long to at least figure out what's going on, and because a 2-week slump. And everybody's talking about how they need to blow up the team. A 2-week hot streak where the bats come alive. Everybody's talking about World Series. So it takes about. I think it takes about half the season for it to even out enough.
And you got to look at it. You got to look at the NL West right now. Arizona's in last place at 17-23. San Diego's 17-22. Colorado's 19-18. The Dodgers are 20-18, and the Giants are in first place at 22-18. The Cubs are 27-9. The Nationals are 23-15, 22-16 for Texas, 24-14 for Chicago, and 23-13 for Baltimore. All the other teams winning divisions are kicking ass. The Giants 2 games above 500.
Yeah.
It's like this team, there's a lot of room for faltering. All you got to do is get in the playoffs.
Yep.
The Giants have proven that multiple years.
Yep. So it's there's way too long to go. I mean, we're just hitting I think they said today that Tuesday marks the quarter pole of the season.
Good Lord.
And so there's still a long way to go and a lot of things that could happen. And, we could, an injury or two here or a guy coming, they still have half their bullpen on the disabled list. They have guys down in Sacramento that could and should be up. There's just baseball season's too long. Talk to me at halfway.
Yeah. Let's see. Bellingham Niner fan said, okay, Poppy took roids, 500 bombs, 600 doubles, 4th player all time. Is he Hall of Fame worthy? You think David Ortiz makes Hall of Fame?
Yes.
You think he deserves it? Do you think the DH deserves to be in the Hall of Fame is, I guess, ultimately the question.
Yeah, I think he does. But I think he's going to get in. So if Barry Bonds had the same personality that Big Papi has, Barry Bonds would have been a first ballot probably unanimous Hall of Famer. But Barry didn't like the...
TJ's right. Frank Thomas made it in as a DH.
Yep, and so didn't Edgar something or other Bellingham. Help me out.
He just said Edgar should be first. Edgar is not in yet.
He's not in yet?
From Seattle?
Yeah.
Not in.
Although the most valuable DH award is the Edgar Martinez award, so he's going to get in. But like I said, if Bonds had Big Papi's personality, he would have been a unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer.
Do you think Bonds coming back to baseball in the hitting coach role with a team other than the Giants is ultimately going to change his perception to the baseball writers and get him into the Hall before he dies?
Nope. I think what's gonna make that change is the 75 to 85-year-old baseball writers that still have votes either dying or getting their votes taken away from them, being replaced with younger guys who understand today's game a little bit better.
Let's keep working for it. Maybe we'll get a vote.
Yep, there we go.
I'll vote in everybody. Woo, you get a vote. You get a vote. I'll be like Oprah. Edgar, best pure right-handed hitter of our generation.
Who said that, James?
Yeah. He's up there. I don't know if I'd say he's the best.
Yeah, no, he's not the best.
Courier Jason says, pure numbers, no proof of steroids, no crying in baseball. Poppy was in the Mitchell report.
Yeah.
So, now if we're going to talk about no proof of steroids, Barry Bonds was never proven to take steroids.
Now, he admitted to taking the cream in the clear and taking flaxseed oil, but have you seen pictures of him? His head is shrunk.
Dude, his head is the size of a grape now. It's amazing. Did you want to talk more about that slide in the punch? Base brawl?
No. I mean, basically, it was retaliation. We got into the retaliation part of it.
I thought it was hilarious. Jason, like I said, Jason texted it to me and then called me. And I was taking a nap, but I was tired after our race yesterday.
And maybe we can do this in afterthoughts, but I got a question for you on the 20 strikeout game versus a perfect game.
Okay.
We'll do that later. Make a note of that. There you go, right there. All right, there you go.
So I will say that there's a lot. So kind of changing gears. We're talking Giants. We could talk Giants Stadium a little bit. There's a lot of fucking stairs at AT&T Park.
Do you have to run all of them?
Let me pull this up for you. So it was like just under 3 miles was the total map around the course or around the stadium. My GPS only pulled 2 miles because it doesn't equate the stairs and the distance traveled up and down the stairs, but that's the map we ran. That's upper bowl, lower bowl, tunnels, ramps, field, behind, on the field, off the field, everywhere, in the visitors clubhouse.
Fuck that.
Dude, it was insane. We're up in the upper bowl, like the very upper bowl, carrying a 60-pound sandbag up and down the stairs, and dude, it was insane, but it was hella fun. The first thing you did, you start on the concourse, you run down the steps, right at third base, run around, out on the field, down into the dugout, into the visitor locker room, and there was a bunch of circles set up. It was like a push-up station. It was like 20 push-up and release, so you had to every time you went down, you had to lift your hands up off the ground, so basically you're doing hopping push-ups. And then it was outside through this weird little tunnel out to the parking lot, players' parking lot. Or, I'm sorry, where the bus is coming, where all the shit's painted on the wall. Uh-huh. And it was lift a 165-pound sandbag 25 feet in the air on a rope, just pulling it up.
Wow.
And then it was then go do stairs for a mile and a half. But we ended right at home plate on the field. They had a big triangle cargo net set up at second base, and then on first base side was where you finished the race. It was pretty cool. But goddamn, there's a lot of stairs out there.
No, thank you.
We ran through the club level tunnels up, in the suite area. We ran through the farmers market out in center field. We got to go through the mezzanine gates where you look out from outside in. We got to go through that tunnel and out onto the field, out on the warning track out there, and run the whole track. It was pretty cool, but god damn it. That was a lot of damn stairs at that place, but it was a lot of fun. So let's do this, Mr. Verosa. Let's move on to this segment. Oh, wait, I forgot. Are you kidding me? Well, we'll do it in headlines. We now travel around the wide world of sports with this week's headlines. All right, so I was going to do this one in Are You Kidding Me? But let's do it right now. Matt Bush, 2014, nice Bush. I'm sorry, 2004 number 1 overall draft pick by the Texas Rangers. Spent 12, I'll just read the story. As he sat in a prison cell, Matt Bush, the number 1 pick in the 2004 draft, wondered many times whether he'd get an opportunity to pitch in the big leagues. People used to ask me all the time, Bush said, and I just didn't know. Well, now he does. 12 years after he was drafted by his hometown San Diego Padres, Bush finally reached the majors Friday when the Texas Rangers promoted him from Double-A Frisco Rough Riders. That's fitting. The guy from prison plays for the Rough Riders. There was a knock last night, and me and my dad were confused about who was knocking on the door, Bush said. But when Frisco pitching coach Brian Schaus said who it was, I had a good feeling about what was going to happen. I didn't know exactly what was going to be the majors, but extremely exciting. I just felt like jumping up and down, thinking how hard I've been working lately and following the course. It's unbelievable. It's hard to explain. Wearing number 51, Bush entered Friday night's game in the 9th inning with the Rangers trailing 5-0. He retired in the middle of the Toronto Blue Jays lineup in order on 17 pitches. 10 of the pitches he threw were 96 miles per hour or faster, including 8 clocked at 97. He struck out the first batter, reigning AL MVP Josh Donaldson, on a called third strike with his fastball at the knees. I was just focused on trying to beat myself out there and continue to do what I've done in Double-A, Bush said of facing middle of Toronto's order. But it was pretty surreal, though. With those guys in the box, it felt good to throw a couple pitches past those guys. It just boosts my confidence. To be able to go out and have a good outing for the first time is just amazing. Bush said he tried to control his nervous energy by forcing himself to take his time and focus on each pitch. I think the crowd gave me chills out there when it really got loud and everything just kind of hit me. Where I've come from, getting out of here and having the support of the fans and the Rangers behind me, it just felt amazing. When Bush retired the side, his teammates greeted him warmly as he entered the dugout. Manager Jeff Bannister stopped him in the top of the dugout steps, put his hands on Bush's shoulder, and welcomed him to the big leagues. Nice to see Matt Bush become a big leaguer tonight, Bannister said. He was very composed. When he got in trouble, he went with his fastball. His stuff came out good and clean and high. He showed his slider and showed his breaking ball. I'm very proud of what Matt did tonight. This is I'm not reading any more of this. Basically, that was his debut. He was in the game today when the retaliation on Jose Bautista occurred. Bush is the one. And what's funny is he threw at Batista's head. The plunk, the first one went toward his head before he hit him. I believe it was 2 pitches that hit him. That's what I think pissed off Batista as much. But makes his debut a couple nights ago, comes in tonight and starts the baseball, which I thought was awesome.
Pretty good from spending 3 years in prison
Odor, the guy who punched Batista, TJ says Odor did increase his slugging percentage today with that punch. and James is right, or Jason's right. He wasn't drafted by the Rangers, but whatever.
And he was a shortstop when he was drafted.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he wasn't a pitcher; he was a shortstop.
So he made his major league debut today, this week, after 12 years in prison. I don't know what the background was.
No, he was in prison for 2 years, I think.
Oh, 12 years after being drafted.
Yeah.
I'm all over the place.
Yeah, no, he was in prison for 2 years. Got busted for a DUI. Apparently, there was a lot of drinking issues there. Busted for a DUI, got in an accident, either hurt somebody pretty bad or killed him. I don't know that it was, and he left the scene, and he spent over a year and a half or 2 years in prison.
Okay, that's what it was. Let's see. Rest of the headlines. Nate McMillan was promoted today to head coach of the Indiana Pacers. Scott Skiles resigned as the head coach of the Orlando Magic. I think he did that in the right way. Did you read any of his statement?
I saw a little bit of it. I didn't get.
He basically said that after the season ended, he evaluated the position with the team, and he just decided that his heart wasn't into it. He didn't feel that he was the right coach for the organization, the direction they were going, the players that they had, and he didn't feel it was right to continue to collect a paycheck essentially for a team that he didn't see the vision of, and he resigned. He stepped down. So I give him a lot of credit. If I'm the Magic, though, I'm a little bit pissed. You couldn't have done this a little bit earlier in the offseason where we could have went after some of these other high-profile coaches, the Luke Walton, the Jaegers, the different guys that got hired on earlier.
Well, there's only a couple guys that are gone.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of guys that are still there.
If your coach is Thibodeau, if there's some guys you want to be able to target, you kind of
Vogel's still out there.
He met with the Knicks today.
He's going to end up with the Knicks.
I believe as well.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up with the
TJ
Knicks.
just said he's going to be with the Magic. We'll see.
No.
Let's see. Greg Hardy, idiot Greg Hardy, sent out a letter to all the NFL teams that basically showed proof that he's going to counseling for his domestic violence and his anger issues, trying to reestablish his credibility as an NFL player. Be interesting to see how that goes. Do you think that he lands with the team? You think anyone other than idiot Jerry Jones?
No.
We'll see about that guy. Jose Reyes of the Colorado Rockies suspended through the end of May for his domestic violence. Obviously now with Trevor Story at shortstop, I don't think the Rockies have a place for Reyes.
No.
There's apparently a lot of teams that are interested in his services, though. Let's see. Jared Hayne, running back for the San Francisco 49ers, Australian rugby star, has retired from the NFL. He says it was a dream come true to play. However, a bigger dream presented itself. The biggest national rugby team in Australia has given him an opportunity to play for the Olympics. And he said that was a dream bigger than the NFL ever could have been. And honestly, get the hell out of...
I think
I would get the hell out of
I think
San
it's safe
Francisco.
from being cut.
Yeah, that may be part of it as well. Jerry Jones thinks that the NFL is going to be good in Vegas with the right ownership group.
Saw that.
And Jerry has been reportedly talking and suggesting to Mark Davis to sell the Raiders.
There's a group of guys, I think, that are part owners in the UFC. Two brothers.
Get into that?
Yeah. Well, no, but two brothers that are trying to sell their interest in the UFC. And they're actually, I think they own part of a casino right now that they're going to put up for sale.
That's my next story.
Okay. So,
but basically, Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones had reportedly been pushing Raiders owner Mark Davis to sell the team for years, according to Bleacher Report. Jones said earlier this week that he supported putting an NFL team in Las Vegas, where the Raiders have been lobbying to relocate, but only if the team was headed by the right ownership. Jones reportedly feels that Davis is not capable of maximizing revenues or creating value for the league. The Raiders have been pushing toward a relocation to Vegas, with Davis pledging $500 million toward the construction.
Where's he going to get that money? Where's he going to get $500 million to build a stadium?
I don't know. So I don't know if I'm even allowed to talk about this because it's been kind of off topic. But since it's dead in the water, I guess I can. I've become friends with someone that was very involved in the Kings ownership or the Kings Arena saga, and his group was working with the city of Elk Grove.
Mike Barnbaum.
Right. It was Barnbaum. Working with the city of Elk Grove to propose a stadium for the Raiders to move to Sacramento. They not only offered the Raiders a $700 million stadium, they offered them, the city was going to pay for the entire thing, rent-free to the Raiders. The Raiders would get all of the revenue from the stadium, and basically Elk Grove would benefit from property tax and concessions to the city. People coming in, restaurants, hotels, whatever the case may be. The Raiders were basically getting a free NFL stadium to call home and was 100% profitable, and the Raiders never returned the phone calls to Sacramento. They basically used that as leverage for other teams. And in a way, that's obviously a good thing, because if they're not going to return the calls, why would you want them to be a tenant in your building or in your area? But the city was...
And I don't think Elk Grove could have pulled it off. There's too many issues down there. That's a pretty volatile area. They can't even get their shopping mall done.
Shopping mall is almost back in progress.
It is. They put a sign up the other day.
And I don't know if this has been announced yet, so I will find out if I can announce the next part in the next couple of weeks, but there's another big project coming to Elk Grove.
Is that the pool and the soccer stadium or soccer?
No, it's completely different. I'll see if I have permission to even mention this, see if it's something yet, but there's something big coming to Elk Grove. I'll stay tuned for that one. And let's see. So last one, UFC is up for sale. Potentially up for sale. Dana White has confirmed. There's talks that it could be upwards of $4 billion that this company sells for. Let's see. According to ESPN.com, several companies are looking to buy the UFC at a price of about $4 billion. In an interview with Jim Rome, UFC president Dana White disputed the accuracy of the report. Okay, so I'm sorry. It was backwards. Reports came out were not very accurate at all, White said on the Rome show. Obviously, we're a business. We're always doing business. We're always trying to grow the sport and take it to the next level. We're always working on deals. But as far as being sold, people make us offers all the time. So we've turned down some pretty big offers.
Well, what I heard was that there's two brothers in Vegas that are pretty well involved in
the
this.
Ferretta brothers?
Yeah.
Have an 81% stake in the UFC?
Right. So they're looking at getting a valuation of their split of the UFC. So they could potentially sell that to raise money to buy the Raiders from Mark Davis. And they have a casino that they own that they would have to sell because the NFL wouldn't allow them to own a casino and the Raiders.
I think you basically read my story.
Did I?
The Ferretta brothers own 81% stake in UFC, so if they only sold half of that, they make some serious money if the company was valued at $4 billion. Now let's get the NFL part of this. ESPN's Darren Rovell said on Tuesday that he wouldn't be surprised if the Freitas tried to buy a piece of the Raiders with their money from the UFC sale. Although White's been shooting down rumors all week, he didn't exactly shoot that one down when Rome asked him on Friday if the brothers would be interested in buying an NFL team. If it's 100% the fact that the hardcore football fans and they promise you one day the Freita brothers will own an NFL team, no doubt about it, White said. Of course, White did point out that the Freitas would have to sell their stake in the Vegas casino that they currently own. You can't own an NFL team if you're involved in casinos, so they would really, making a serious move with the Raiders, they'd be selling stations, casinos, not the UFC.
Obviously, whoever wrote that article listens to Sports Talk 916.
Yeah, Darren Rovell. No, it's John Breach.
John Breach. Thanks, John.
So there's that. So that would be interesting. I wonder, does the NFL, so that rule with the NFL where you can't own a casino and be an NFL owner, obviously if they're in Vegas, I'm assuming that they could if they're outside, or is it just
I don't think
can't
so.
at all?
I don't think so.
Does that rule not apply to the NHL? Because the Maloofs are in talks to be part of the NFL.
Well, it doesn't.
NHL
Obviously,
group.
it doesn't hold true for the NBA either.
Right. So that's an interesting thing to think about.
Well, the NFL's always been very, very leery of gambling and casino gambling, and although that they just can't, in good conscience, keep those thoughts up because NFL is popular because of gambling, and that's it.
Right. All right, let's move on to afterthoughts. You had a question. 20 strikeouts or a perfect game?
Okay, so I was listening to the Rise guys this week, and after the 20 strikeout game, the question was, what's more impressive, 20 strikeouts or a perfect game?
Honestly, I think it's more of the perfect game. And the reason why I go that route is because 20 strikeouts, man,
How many perfect games have there been?
Yeah, there's only been 2 20 strikeout games.
There's been
five. But I honestly think that the pressure of a perfect game is more intense than the pressure of a 20 strikeout game. The 20 strikeout game, it's damn near impossible because all they have to do is pop the ball up a little bit, hit a dribble or whatever. So your stuff is, I think you have better stuff pitching-wise in a 20 strikeout game than you do a perfect game. But let me ask you this. If you're at 19 strikeouts or if you're at 20 trying to get to 21 to break the all-time record, or you're at the 26th out of a perfect game, which one are you going to have? Which one is going to be more stressful? Because anything can happen on a perfect game. Your third baseman can have an error. The umpire can make a bad call. You can plunk a guy. You can miss by half an inch. There's a lot more variables that make the perfect game a lot harder to complete than the 21 strikeouts.
Yeah, but I think
you could have a buddy on the other team.
The 20 strikeout game is more reliant on the pitcher and the catcher only. Where a perfect game, there's so many other people that are involved in it. There's a lot more room for mistakes. But the pressure on a 20 or 21 strikeout game is squarely on the pitcher and the catcher. Nobody else. And, like the other day, they scored 4 runs and had 6 or 7 guys on base.
Here's my hope. I hope that a pitcher gets 21 strikeouts in a game. I don't care who it is. It can be anybody. Doesn't matter to me. I want that pitcher to lose 1-0.
I'm sure they could.
No, but I'm saying that's how I want it to be. I want it to be, it's like when you pitch a no-hitter and lose. Like that would be like the best thing ever.
Well, there's been 5 or 6 no-hitters where the guys have lost.
Yeah, it's great. It's like one of my favorite things ever because it's like that sucks so bad. Like you have the game of your life and you take a loss.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The last thing I had was Steven Strasburg just got 7 years, $175 million. Some god-awful number. Do you think that Bryce Harper is going to be the first $300 million player in baseball? I thought maybe Mike Trout, but I'm thinking Bryce Harper may be the first $300 million player in baseball.
Not only is he talented, but he draws people to the stadium.
Not only that, but he draws women to the stadium because he's an attractive little bastard.
Yeah. And he's cocky and he's a bad boy. He's talks about making it fun. He's a little bit crazy, so you never know what he's going to do.
He wants to bring the fun back
And then he wants to argue with umpires after he's been thrown out of the
half
game.
bill. No, James, you think he's going to get $500 million?
Wow.
Wait, Stanton did. Mike Stanton or Giancarlo Stanton did get $300 million, didn't he? Am I thinking $500 million? Hold on. Giancarlo Stanton. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Stanton got $325 million. So yeah, do you think he'll be the next highest paid? Do you think he can?
Yeah.
Do you think he could get
absolutely
400 or 500
I think
million?
he can get 4. I think he can get 4.
Good Lord.
I want to punch my parents in the throat every time I see them for not letting me play baseball.
How do you think I feel? I was adopted. I could have went to anyone that could have forced me to play baseball. I had a choice. I could have been rich. I mean, I could have been adopted by Dana White, and I could have had a shitload of money. But no.
I didn't know you were adopted.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
6 weeks old.
Wow. And they still took you.
Right? Well, they kept me. I was good as a kid. They kept me for this long, so it's amazing.
There wasn't a 15-year return policy.
No, but you know what? The other night I was at dinner after the Spartan race last night. We went to Rainforest Cafe. Worst fucking restaurant on the face of the goddamn planet. And it really got me wondering, and I don't know, you might know the answer to this question. I know what the answer is, but I really wish there was a better answer. Like when you have let's say you have a baby, right? You get knocked up at like 15, where you could drop the baby off at like a fire station as like a safe drop off, and they get it to the hospital and then they adopt it out or whatever they do. Is there an age limit on that? Like, my daughter last night, my 8-year-old, was acting like a fucking 2-year-old. And I was like, do you think that I could...
So you have an 8 and 10-year-old that you want to drop off at the...
No. My 6-year-old was great last night. It's the 8-year-old.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to drop her off at the damn fire station. I was just wondering, is there an age cutoff for that program? Or do you think if I just, like, sit her down and tell her that we moved, like, that she doesn't know where we live anymore?
You're going to go visit your long-lost aunt in... Wisconsin.
Tehachapi. Let's go. Oh, man. Talk about... The only saving grace to it was we were in fucking Rainforest Cafe, so every 8 seconds, the fucking zebras and shit were making noise.
Where's that? I've never heard of that.
It was on the Embarcadero.
Oh.
Don't go there. It wasn't worth the money.
So what was worse, last night or fireworks?
Oh, fireworks. It goes down in infamy. That thing is the best video I've ever fucking made or watched. I didn't make it. My wife made it, but...
I think you need to repost that every time it pops up in your memories.
It pops up once a year.
I know. Repost that because that's just amazing. It's my favorite video of all time.
My favorite part of that video is my little one. She's like 4. She's like, I don't want a sister anymore. That's great. Anyways, with that being said, guys, this was season 4, episode 11. Ginormous thanks to Mr. Phil Oates for taking time out of his evening tonight.
That was awesome
to speak with us. If you guys missed it, you joined us late. If you want to hear it again, it will be up on iTunes and Google Play Music, which I don't know if I've never announced that we're on the Google Play Store for podcasts now. So those of you like Mr. George Spatz, who's in the chat box, who is on Android, you could get our podcast on Google Play. So check that out. Myself too, I guess I'm on Google Play as well. You can hear the full interview with Phil Oates. I will splice it and also put it up on our website. So if we want to let people hear it, and we will go from there. So for Greg, I'm Greg. Thank you everyone else for listening tonight. Until next week,